Welcome to the 2020 Newtown Creek Alliance Virtual Tidal Toast. Thank you for joining us. Usually we'd be hosting you here at Kingsland Wildflowers at Broadway Stages, but tonight we're happy to have you join us online.
We want to thank all of our sponsors for supporting Newtown Creek Alliance and making tonight's event possible. Also want to give a shout out to all our volunteers who've joined us this season for our outdoor socially distanced events.
You are about to see a series of short films that we put together for you that document our 2020 COVID season. So sit back and enjoy tonight's program. Thank you. Educational programming with Newtown Creek Alliance takes on a lot of different forms. We do tours, we do field trips, in-classroom lectures, Zoom lectures, pre-recorded videos, and online resources that are interactive. There's an opportunity to teach traditional subjects like science, math, ELA through the lens of urban ecology and specifically Newtown Creek.
We're grateful for the partnership. I think that when organizations take a real interest in young people and thinking about providing opportunities for them to get outside, learn about what's outside, see what happens during the school day in a non-traditional way, it's better for all of us.
The Newtown Creek Alliance put together a really good curriculum about the geography and the flora and fauna.
Programming is to have this urban ecology curriculum available for all of the schools in the Creek's watershed. Any educator from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade, they feel like this waterway is available for their students as a learning tool.
We do a community service day during Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and I had brought my advisory, my students, to the creek, and at first we walked towards the opening of the creek where we had this beautiful Hunters Point Park South, so we were able to see how sustainable design practices can affect the landscape. And then we walked over to Vernon Boulevard and we saw how access was limited, and it was interesting because we even saw how wildlife was contained and kept from the creek. And the contrast between this beautiful, sustainably designed park and the limited access further into the creek was really eye-opening for those students, and hopefully it sparked some interest for them in terms of lifelong activism.
This area has been so long fenced off and kept from the communities nearby, and it provides opportunity not just of being near a calm waterway, but for as an educational resource so that people can learn about what an estuary is, what a salt marsh is, the value of this in the larger ecosystem that is New York City. Place-based
learning is proving to be a really important way to teach that next generation of stewards on how to not only help restore our long neglected waterways, but how they can take an active role in their classrooms, in their communities, with their families.
We have this creek that's extremely polluted, that is a Superfund site that needs to be basically revitalized, and it's important for them to understand that. So I feel the first step is for them to know that this issue exists, and with Newtown Creek, the work that they do is really important because it allows students the resources to go in depth and educate themselves about the history of the creek, but then also how we can revitalize the creek and how we can move forward as a community and build a better future for tomorrow. Or better future. I messed that one up. Okay.
I think that's good.
Good?
All right.
So New York City is a very built environment and has been for a very long time in these industrialized areas in northern Brooklyn and western Queens. And what's missing in these areas is even a very small space for our native birds, mammals, insects, plants, to have even a small space to carve out a little ecosystem.
Why I'm so passionate about it is because even though we are this highly motivated city, everyone is driven for so many different reasons, and the architecture sometimes leaves out very important aspects of what we need. We still need bugs, and not just butterflies and not just bees, but we need wasps and we need other smaller insects.
We are in Industrial Greenpoint right now, and we were really very surprised to find this very long stretch of unplanted, basically grass sidewalk strip in this area. It was kind of a moment of, oh my goodness, there's such opportunity to transform this. We are working with local businesses that operate here on site and next door to care for this site. So they are wonderful and they bring us their hoses when we need to come out and water, and they're very supportive of the work that we do here. And it's a pretty radical transformation. We're working within the industrial area that's already here. We're identifying small little pockets where we can do plantings like this, where we can create this chain or this pathway for our pollinators.
So here we are at the Penny Bridge site on Newtown Creek. We began doing cleanup efforts here around 2017 as the new bridge was about to be opened. And so this had for many decades been a dumping ground. There was all sorts of bizarre trash. We think there's real value in having even small pocket areas like this where there's open space, where there's shade, where there's wind, a breeze, for local residents and workers to come take advantage of that.
I think the sites around Newtown Creek are really exciting because they feel kind of like tucked away and hidden.
People work and they need some place, get away for lunch and unwind, or even come off of a hard day at work and just want to sit down and reflect on their day or any stuff that's happening in life. Places like this is what you need.
I'm very thankful that we have this great partnership with the Newtown Creek Alliance. We've been partnering with them for a few years now. As someone that lives about 2 blocks from Newtown Creek, I'm really concerned about it, and I love what they're doing to try and make it somewhat safe. I know it's a long project, but the work they do is amazing. We're doing our pollinator garden right behind me, as you can see. We've taken a median that was just full of weeds, overgrown and totally useless and not any good for the community. We've turned it into, or will be turned into, this beautiful pollinating garden where hummingbirds, bees, other pollinators will come. It'll look great, and it's something we can all be proud of.
I think it's really beautiful to have an organized staff, nonprofit, really host something meaningful for people to come together and participate in. And this is the day of participation. We're planting, actually it's 4 days of planting, and there's walks and education involved with that. But long after this week of work is done, everybody that's done this is going to be able to look at this median and with pride and tell their neighbors about what they've done and how this is going to help bring more pollinators into the area, capture more rainwater, clean the air, create a healthy biodiverse soil ecology right here in the median of this main strip here in Long Island City. There's a lot that can be talked about, and just in that conversation about the diversity and the ecology of our neighborhood, we can deepen the community relations too.
First of all, it makes a real difference in the health of the creek by, for example, picking up trash at a street end site. That removes it can remove microplastics from the water and make the environment a lot more habitable for birds and other wildlife. But also, these environmental problems can be really overwhelming emotionally for people that are just looking out at the world and seeing, climate change and all of these things happening and being really scary. So I think it's a good way to sort of feel like you have some control over that and to actually make a difference and to go out and release that energy a little bit.
It's also kind of amazing, a place like this that used to just be filled essentially with trash. You can now come here and hang out with the grasshoppers or the bees or the butterflies that are coming through. So it's definitely not what people think of when they're going to go try to find nature, to come to a place like Penny Bridge. But even in these small corners with a little bit of investment, it's kind of amazing what you can find.
It's a small team, but we have a lot of dedicated people from around the creek communities who have been working on this process of making the creek better for like 30 years now, at least. And it's just really inspiring to see that commitment from people around the community to say, like, you know, this is a problem and we're gonna make it better, and it's gonna take a really long time, but we're just gonna get down to it. So that's really exciting.
Hopefully in this coming year, we can go even further. A goal is to have these smaller little habitats all around the creek, so that even though it's a fully functioning and robust industrial area, it still is allowing for the ecology or for the life that was here before us to continue to thrive.
Our vision for the creek, you can kind of see it right here basically. We want to have places where there's active industry that's providing good blue-collar jobs for the surrounding area and helping the city run, paired with ecological restoration and public access. For so long, this creek has been fenced off from the surrounding communities and deprived of the conditions that allow it to be a natural ecosystem. Our vision is sort of that threefold mix of industry, ecology, and community. So it's safe for people to come here, to examine the fish, the crabs, to touch the water without concern about what kind of bacteria is in the water, what kind of chemicals are in the water. And it's gonna take a lot of work to get there.
The collaborative work between the community, the students, the faculty, and Newtown Creek Alliance, and other actors on the waterway to consistently monitor the quality of the water week after week, testing it for levels of bacteria, algal blooms, oxygen level, levels of nutrients. This is a collaborative process that developed because the Newtown Creek Alliance has so many connections with so many different parts of the community and other groups that are also stewards of our larger estuary. So what we start here becomes magnified many-fold because of these associations. The concept of floating wetlands started here and is now migrating out.
Our project here is an attempt to try and help clean up the creek and bring some of the wildlife back to it. We have, I guess, succeeded to an extent. You know, the grasses are doing what they're doing. Essentially, they're help cleaning the water and things like that. We also do get constant visits from animals and critters that, you know, like to come and destroy our work, but we always get through it.
Through this work that the Newtown Creek Alliance has been doing with thousands of volunteers, honestly, they've been able to clean this stuff up. They've been able to educate people by taking different people that work and have a stake in the creek and its surrounding areas, take them out onto the creek and teach them about why it's important to care for this, and to bring a lot of people to the shores of the creek and to clean up directly. When we put our hands and our heads and our hearts together directly in relation to the water and the earth and the air that we need and rely on for our lives and support that supports our culture and society, we start to understand it in a much more root way, in a much more connected way. So by continually bringing people out and doing work days over the years, they've managed to actually change the face of the creek.
We're trying to swing the pendulum back the other way. And so we had a very industrialized experience here on the waterway that radically changed the ecosystems that were here. Newtown Creek is a federally designated Superfund. Hopefully we will see that remediation and cleanup in the coming years. And in the meantime, we can work to bring back ecology.
What I've learned is there's eco-friendly, sustainable ways to clean our waterways besides chemical interactions. whatever damage we've done, we could undo in a naturally safe way.
We can't ever let up. We have to keep pushing this idea forward and pushing this work forward. If we are going to not only survive pandemics like COVID, like we've seen this last year, but also survive climate change and the sea levels that we know are going to be rising. If we're going to improve our air quality so that we can all breathe free and easy, we need to continue this work every day, all year round, forever.
I'm very hopeful for the cleanup of the waterway. The little bit of work that we've done here, even just come into this little creek and you can see what's behind us and all the amazing life forms we have right here with just our little project keeps me really optimistic towards the bigger picture.
You can just look at how the creek looks now compared to how it looked 30 years ago, and you can just see that difference. So just imagine where we'll be 30 years from now.
My biggest thing for me is when people don't believe in like an environmental, that we're putting it down and things like that. I always just try to say, think of it like this. You have kids, you have nephews. Don't you want to preserve the world for them? This is an attempt that they're doing here.
It's actually not my dream for myself, but actually for my daughter now. Now that I have a daughter, I would like to bring her to the creek, bring her to the East River, things that I did when I was a child. Now, since all the efforts that Newtown Creek Alliance and other organizations have done, they're kind of coming back. I'm seeing a lot of life now in the creek, and that's a good thing. I mean, it gives me more hope that my daughter's going to experience what I experienced on the waterways.
We hope you enjoyed tonight's programming and that the videos inspired you to get involved with Newtown Creek Alliance.
Thank you again to all of our sponsors and supporters. It is your contributions that make our work possible and allow us to expand our reach and impact in the watershed.
There's still plenty of time for you to donate. You can do that at our website at newtowncreekalliance.org or click the link in the chat. By doing that, you will support our ongoing mission to reveal and restore and revitalize Newtown Creek. Thank you so much. I didn't see you there.